I need all these people to call me back. I hate.
All right, fam.
It's like, it'd be serious stuff too. I'm like, this is serious. Like, really?
This is serious stuff, right? We're live on Twitch. This is serious time. No messing around, no fooling around in here. This is real talk now. We're in mental health workshop. This is where we improve our productivity and mindfulness as a group. It's kind of an accountability support group that Clara has helped us run for several months now on it very consistently, Clara. I think you've been doing a really great job getting some interesting speakers in here and generating discussion around how we can be more mindful, more aware of our own journey as entrepreneurs, and help other people in that process. Because we're all about helping each other out in this tribe. Those who vibe together, tribe it together. So, Clara.
Abs.
Yes, all right. Welcome to Balo as well, and Samantha. If you guys are watching on the stream, you can hop in and ask questions or just listen on Discord. We'd love to have you join us. I think today our feature was supposed to be Lana Shkodova, a great artist and thinker, and she had an emergency. So I think we're just going to have some more general discussion and question and answer around managing our passion. So you want to take it away, Clara?
Sure. Thank you, Sam. And welcome to Balo and Samantha as well, and anyone else who joins us. The topic of today's discussion was born out of a conversation that I had with Lana Saturday night. She invited me to spend the night at her house because I had to be in High Point for the weekend. So hotel prices are out the roof, and you know, I didn't want to drive back and forth to Cary from High Point. So she let me stay at her house Saturday night, and she was the most gracious hostess. I'm not going to go on, but we had a very lively conversation about art and, the journey and things like this. And um, with the knowledge that I'm now a full-time employee, just, the reflection of how my journey looked as an artist. And I've come to the conclusion that, albeit those 10 years were great, I got to travel. I realized that the art was managing me and I was not managing my art. Um, but in the same token, if I tried to manage the art so much, I might not have, got to have some of the experiences that I had. But had I been able to manage the art, in terms of, normalcy, keeping a job, day-to-day normal things and doing the art, I don't know how that will look, but there is something to it. Um, Sometimes I've seen it, I respect it. I see people who just flat out refuse to participate in society as far as, paying taxes. I just got my first check and like half of it's gone already and I didn't even see it. So, um, yeah, just things like that. They want to follow their passion. They want to play music. They want to act. They want to be an artist. But moving about that way is tantamount to letting the art manage you. It takes you on a journey, in my opinion, but uh, it's something to consider, right? So if we want to manage our passion, that's something to consider before we dive into headlong. Because for a while I had wanderlust and got to travel, and I just really didn't care. Um, in hindsight, it's like I could have done that different.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, but I respect anyone's journey. I mean, I respect artists who are able to develop great art and keep a job and drive, a late model car. Like, how
Right.
you do that?
Right. Right.
But yeah, it could, ultimately, for some, it could lead to like schizophrenia or just being emotionally unstable or not being able to care for yourself if you don't have a support system in place. One to be the consummate creative person. So that's what I have with that. If anyone wants to add to that, we can converse about it. Who is that?
Oh, we got a few people.
Hey!
We got Clava popping up in his new home. His home away from home. We can't hear you, Clava.
Yeah.
You're muted.
Lava, do you mean to be mute? Because I know. So we were talking about managing our passion, or our passion will manage us.
Right.
If we don't manage it, it will manage us.
As a
And
passionate man, I can attest to this. I have let my passions rule me before, and that has been one of the largest parts of my journey as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, and as a family man, has just been learning to control my passions. And it takes a proactive process. You have to plan for the inevitable swell of emotion. When you get that hype, I mean, I think a lot of artists feel like they're almost bipolar because they go through ups and downs. They go through periods where they feel really creative and inspired, and then they go through down periods. That happens naturally for most creative individuals. It's not just like a constant running, steady stream of creativity, right?
Well, until recently, I never had creator's block.
I'm not talking about creator's block, but like the emotional ups and downs of being an artist, being a creative. I don't know. Do you think they go hand in hand, or are they not? Are they mutually exclusive, or inclusive?
I think mentally they're the same thing.
So I feel like Garrett talks about this, right? He talks about the divergence and convergence, where the chaos of creativity leads to a lot of other sort of side effects of creativity, which is on one hand being a little less emotionally stable than somebody who's very monotone. Like they're making it through life, they're working their job, they're doing their tasks. They're not being extremely creative in their life, but they're still enjoying it. Maybe they're not as emotionally unstable though. I don't know. I guess I'm just trying to think about this from like a biochemical perspective, an anatomical, like mental state is controlled by the chemical balances in there. So creatives and non-creatives, if we're going to label people in that category, I don't know. I think everybody has creativity, but we're talking about people whose art, their life is centered around being a content creator, an artist, making stuff that's visually or audio appealing. That is a creative in my mind. Like that is their goal. So that requires a certain chemical balance that is innately less stable than somebody who's not focused on being creative each and every day. Do you think that is true, or there's truth to that? Like, I feel like everybody I know who's been a creative has had some sort of mental health ups and downs, just struggle with depression.
Oh, go ahead.
And that even includes like programmers, like they're creating digital ones and zeros. That's artwork essentially. Like a developer is a form of creative artist.
Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, I just wanted to add, like, and for me personally, and I think it's probably common, is like the way my mind works, and especially when it comes to productivity, working or creating, or just having like the natural fire to do it versus the fire kind of being gone, or the spirit, I guess, is that it comes in like cycles, or there's like a climate of the mind, or there's like a I can go on like sometimes I'll just get like the itch to program or code or build, and then other times I'm like, I don't even want to fucking think about it. And it's not just programming, but sometimes it's like tasks, and other times you're like, okay, I'm gonna knock everything out, and then other times you're just like, it's just not in your mind to do it. And so it comes in waves, and it's usually like longer term cycles of like, I call it the lion's hunt, but like I'll have the strong programming bug or creating bug. And then other times I'll be like, okay, I'm a zone out documentary, just kind of other stuff. So it's hard to keep it for like, it definitely comes in phases or waves.
I was
Well,
muted. I was.
I think for myself, it was never a matter of creating anything. It was more of a manner of surviving, right? Like living, eating, paying my bills. Um,
Not working a second job, you mean? Doing it solo or full time?
yeah. So
I mean, the baller works another
not.
job.
Well, see, I understand that like my mission was just to create. I wasn't really in it for the money. I wasn't really in it business wise. I was in it for the money, but not fully understanding certain steps or certain, you know,
Right.
rules to follow, to to manifest the money for all this beautiful
Right.
art. I was like, nobody really gives a damn.
Well, they do. They do. It's really more about marketing. I think even brands and artists, it comes down to what's your marketing strategy? Because if nobody knows about your art, they're not experiencing the incredible power of art. Like your art, every time I show it to somebody, people are inspired. They feel things when they look at your artwork, which is incredible. So in my mind, it's like, okay, that's just a marketing issue. That's like, we got to find out how to get this art in front of the right people. Some of that's physical places, like putting it out there. But I think that's limiting yourself to locality. And if you use the web and you use Web3 technology, like we're trying to do in Triba and trying to do with you, that it gives your audience reach to a global level. Like it gets you up there.
Right. Well, I think I don't know. Picasso might be one exception, and Monet, the greats or whatever. But it's the strategic mind, always implementing and keeping in mind the strategy. Because there's strategy in creating, right? Like you can see it in your mind, but what layer comes first, or what tools do you need to create such things, right? So that's strategy in and of itself, which is taxing. Like it takes a lot out of you. Like I just didn't have, much left for things that are just as important, marketing, social life, eating. So it's like, yeah, I mean, it was, I have no regrets, but I can reflect and be honest with myself. Art managed me, but I was damn happy. So, yeah.
Well, that's good that you were happy. And I see that in your life. You live it out. You are a very happy and positive individual. And I love helping you get to a larger audience as well, because I think more people need the kind of help that you provide through art, through creativity, through your mind and the stuff you've picked up over the years. You've developed so much as an artist. I think a lot of times artists are so focused on how am I stacking up to my friends and my family who have jobs, and I'm behind, I don't have a 401k, I'm not investing. This is stuff I think about too. I'm like, I'm in a different place in my life than half of my friends who graduated high school at the same time. Yeah, and I have 2 kids, and most of them are like, I'm sitting on a nice retirement, I might get married, I might have a kid, might buy some houses. And I'm like, well, I want to just help people. I'm not in it for the money, but I need to make the money. That really took a realignment, like Steven said, towards I'm a businessman. I need to make a living. I need to make more money so that I can help more people. And in the process, if I do that ethically and do that responsibly, I think the community is what really, really helps with that. Like if you get a group of people who are passionate about similar things, they're the ones who are going to help you market that on a larger scale. And a lot of people will go and pay influencers or platforms to put their stuff out there. But the alternative is finding a community that's passionate about your values.
Absolutely.
And then even beyond that, it's like how you expand that spirit or mentality to like inspire more people to create or build, or build a brand, or create their vision. So
That's
Yeah, I think one thing that artists need to learn really well is manifestation of their needs, so that they can create otherwise, right? So like just the skills to manifest for your needs and get those taken care of, and then you have the time and the energy to put towards your creations.
Mala, are you speaking of attracting what you want?
Yeah, so just go on, like I'm a master manifester, and so I just try to align myself with what I need, and then I can do whatever I want after that.
That's so interesting. Yeah, that's a real thing, you know. It's a real thing. I've seen it and I've practiced it. Sometimes consciously, sometimes unconsciously, right? But yeah, that is a thing for, you know, the whole human race to understand, not just creative people. But you know, I also think there's a lot of value in, you know, gratitude and thankfulness too. So like
That's part of it, I think. Yeah.
yeah, you know, so there's always there's the yin and the yang, or the, you know, the opposite of the other coin, the other side of the coin. Like I if I went down one path, then I can't experience the other path, right? So being okay with the choices that you make. Now, if we could learn to master manifest, then we'd be all good. I'm not making light. That's real shit.
Yeah, so
I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm learning. I feel like I manifested this position. I love my job. It's so easy. Like I never thought I'd be thankful or excited to go to work again, you know? And it's good, and I get to be creative, and I have autonomy, and I have freedom, and I, you know, I don't have, it's not a corporate position for one. But it's necessary for me right now, you know, and I see I've never, you know, proud or too good to work. It's just I know my value and I know what I'm capable of. Like I was explaining to someone, they're like, "You're so happy to have this job. What is it about this job?" I said, "It's not a job, it's a position." Okay, difference. It's a difference. That's so interesting. But anyways, it's yeah. I mean, it's necessary. But if you can move through life, being creative and not, you know, sometimes you don't know you're being managed by whatever it is that you're in pursuit of, and that's okay too, to be a little oblivious of your position, because you know what we don't need to do is worry about what other people think about us. If you have what you need to, you know, move through the day and eat and be happy and keep a roof over your head, regardless of whether you got the latest this, the nicest that, you know, it's experiences. And that was what was most important for me, was to have experiences. And I think this job is going to afford me a lot more experiences, not just monetarily, just in, you know, creating things that, like, it's a new position, so I can pretty much, you know, move it in the direction that suits my preferences and abilities or vision, you know. So I'm very thankful for that. But you know, I can put my art down now. I used to like be one of those that stayed up and wouldn't go play. When I went on vacation or went somewhere with friends, I'd take my art with me. When they're drinking wine and laughing, I'm over there painting, or, you know, thinking of that is not good. But no regrets, you right? So it's all good. It's just life, you know. But you definitely, there's a way to do both. And I don't know that if anyone had told me beforehand that I would have listened, I would have had to experience it for myself. And that took 10 years. You know, I had a 10-year experience, which is good. But it in hindsight, my passion managed me. I did not manage it. And I admire those who do manage their passion. Like, I really do.
Yeah, some lessons are hard to learn. So, but when you do learn them, it's through you, and it's more meaningful.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, life's good. I mean, you think of the number of people who never tap into a creative portion of their personality or their brain, right? Like, I know so many people say, I can't draw a stick. And I know so many people who, they don't even explore the possibility of or put themselves in a way in an environment or in a way to experience something that may awaken their soul, like their inner the inner core of you. That's where creativity comes from.
Yeah, B said it takes courage to create. Maybe we can get into that a little more. How do you put yourself in those positions? How do you break out of that shell, so to speak, for people who are watching? They don't feel like they're very creative, but they really want to be a better entrepreneur. They want to have ideas. They want to be stimulating those creative juices. I mean, I guess I can say community is a great part. Find a creative community in Discord.
Yeah, I think not everybody is an artist, so to say, is like drawing or making music or doing that stuff. But and then I'm not one of them. I'm like, I love music and I love art, but I'm not very skilled at it, right? So my creativity is in entrepreneurship and business strategies and coming up with ideas that are better than what is out there, that are more aligned with people's purposes and stuff like that. So I kind of channel my creativity towards those side of things. So it's just kind of like find what you have a passion for and then move closer and closer to that, and then you kind of find your true passion.
So I would add that I think it kind of gets definitely into philosophy about the self, but at least in the most basic sense, a lot of people on the internet just have a lot of noise. Like, there's a lot of junk that just clogs people's attention, that distract them or lower their resonance to be able to fully tap into those creative energies. So one is like, okay, trim the fat. You don't need to spend mindful attention on not beneficial things on the internet. And then the other aspect is that once you can start learning how to be refined and focused and like really tune into that mental energy and clean it up and harness it a bit better, then you can actually channel it for creative productivity, But the first says there's so much junk and there's so much noise that it's really just distracting people.
Well, I that's dysfunction masquerading as normalcy. I don't think that many of us even give enough thought that there is a way to go about doing things that are expressive and creative and thoughtful, like purposeful, and we get to define what that purpose is. No one gets to define that for you. Just like Clava said, he likes to help people see things and do things better, like building businesses, building models, building business models. It takes all kinds. We need all of that. That takes creative thinking, and that's all it boils down to. I mean, but the creators I have the most respect for are writers. I just think that's a skill that is really but then engineers are awesome. I mean, it doesn't have to be in the visual or the visual audible, it doesn't have to be that. It can be whatever you is, but so long as it's inside or something that you're really passionate about doing. I think that's what enhances life, not the things that you attain from what you do, but what you do.
B said, where is the place to start? Visualizing what you want your future to look like. What are the tiny steps to get started? Meditation can.
Yeah, Clara just brought kind of a thought to my head, and it kind of goes into how people balance more of either scientific thinking or like liberal arts thinking. And I think that usually we all kind of lean one way or another, but the balance of it is hyper important. Like if we play too much into the creative or emotional brain and we're trying to manifest something, then we're a bit blocked in sort of how in depth we can visualize how to create something. So if we don't have like a scientific or technical understanding of how to create stuff, then we can only create so much.
Yeah,
You're
it just
limited on
remains an idea, right? It just remains an idea. Is that what you're saying?
like kind of how you were pointing out earlier, how a big part of creating is the strategic creation. Like without, I don't think it's possible you can strategically create things without unfortunately having to like acclimate into the like disciplines that make us uncomfortable too, so that's kind of, I feel like that's a part of the creative force that it's not purely just like wishful thinking. So.
Well, I think to your point is one of the reasons why more people aren't exercising their creativity, because it takes a lot of brain power, right? Scientists say that 25% of our energy is used to, the brain uses 25% of our energy. So that's according to scientists. I can do that for, if you want to fact check it. But yeah, a lot of people would prefer not to even go there. Like they would rather, have the normal American way of living. You work, you pay bills, you eat, you sleep, you work, you eat, you sleep, pay bills. There's no, but for them, they've identified that as satisfaction or a good life or whatever. But I think for the creative person, someone who's trying to do something extraordinary or out of the norm or more than, it's something that we embrace, and we know that we're doing it. We're in the moment. And I think we might have a little richer experience on this earth. I don't know. Like I could be wrong, but that's what I think.
Yeah, and I think a part of it is like at least the work, eat, sleep cycle, and then like nothing more of human life. I think it has to do with like a disconnection of us to our soul, to just mindlessly pay a mortgage your whole life, to a bank is like, it's like would not even think about it. And how the kind of that cyclical thinking keeps people poor, unfortunately. But yeah, it kind of goes in the realm of consciousness and the soul, or lack thereof.
Yeah. Well, and it becomes generational too. So it's like, just like, you can have a family of fishermen, like the granddad was a fisherman, the dad was a fisherman, and now the son's a fisherman, and his son is probably going to be a fisherman. If you're born poor, your grandparents are poor, your parents are, then it's likely that you're going to be poor, for generations to come until someone breaks the cycle. But I think if you come from, a family that has a deeper understanding of the possibilities of life and what it is to be human, then, greatness is inevitable. Like there's more, it's natural to express the soul or acknowledge the soul. It's natural. For me, it didn't happen that way. Like my family is highly dysfunctional. But yeah, not to toot my own horn, but I don't think like anyone in my family. And I did that on purpose. I didn't know what I was doing on purpose, but I know that I made my own decisions on purpose. Come what may, I don't care. But it's in this environment, right? So if you and see, and that also lends back to the art managing me. I had nobody in my family to look to. Like I could look to other artists and their success, but it really didn't, resonate, nor did I care. But I really had no blueprint to follow. I just, went about it my own way. And you just you stumble, you learn, whatever. But yeah, it's now I'm at a point where I'm still creating, but it's not come what may type situation. I can pick it up and put it down, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah, I see in the chat B made a good point. It's like it's hard to know what's available to you without knowing how to break the cycle or see the bigger possibility. And it's kind of like how do we be empowered, but also we don't have a dependency on other people to make us have that confidence or self-esteem at the same time. So it's like that empowerment's a big aspect to it, because you have to believe you can achieve things before you can even visualize it, right? So
that's a fact. That is a fact. What say you, Clava?
Okay, so basically you live in a box that was laid upon you by others. So your limitations upon what you can attain